Hi, welcome back to another episode of Student Teaching with Riri. We're on week 10, which is the week before spring break. It was a pretty quick week. It was a pretty chill week for sure. But let's just get right into it and talk about what happened that week. So, Monday, my teacher was out, so it was just me and a sub for each period. It was pretty fun. They were working on their papers for the past 2 weeks, so we still, I walked around, made sure everyone was okay, looked at some papers, gave some suggestions, some edits, revisions, and some praise and moral support because they need that too. And overall, it was a pretty chill moment with the 11th grade honors kids. What was fun was the 10th graders because I taught them the AI lesson that I taught the 11th graders, and that was interesting. I was also getting observed by my professor, and previously, the past 3 observations, they were with the 11th grade honors kids, but now she saw me with the 10th graders. But then additionally, that was my first time in front of the 10th graders teaching them a lesson, and it was funny. I mean, I had their attention for about 10-15 minutes before they started shutting down and not caring about what I was saying, and I was like, oh, I guess that's different. I thought they would be kind of interested, but then also I understand that they don't care because it is a boring subject and they definitely don't want to hear another adult tell them that AI sucks for their learning and that they shouldn't use it. So they were respectful for the most part. I learned a lot in that I'm going to have different types of groups and different classrooms and different students in each, and I can't expect all my students to be the 11th honors kids, and I also can't expect vice versa. Like, it's okay. It wasn't a negative experience. It was just a different experience that I had not gotten yet at the school that I'm at. But my teacher did say that after spring break, so starting Monday, I'll be in front of the 10th graders more, getting that exposure, teaching a different group of students at a different grade level. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually pretty excited because I do really enjoy working with the 10th graders overall. So, overall, positive experience, definitely a learning experience. And I gave them starbursts the next day as a reward because it was either munchkins if they did really, really, really well, and then small candy if they did okay, which they were in the okay realm. Tuesday, Tuesday I woke up late, and that kind of ruined my morning. And we were starting a film in our 11th grade classroom called Wajida, and really beautiful, brilliant film. It was directed in Saudi Arabia by a female director in a place where the film industry is pretty much non-existent. So she made this amazingly beautiful film. We were supposed to introduce it, or I was supposed to introduce it that morning, but I just could not. I was just so out of it. I was having a bad morning, and my teacher did it for me, and that was just really sweet. And I also think he really loves that movie too, and he's into film studies as a form of looking at different types of literature and media. So I think he wanted to do it as well and introduce it in that way. So I really appreciated that he did that for me. And I don't even know if he did it for me, but I was just very thankful either way. And I also felt like a crappy teacher because I was like, oh, this is my job, and even if I have a bad morning, I should be able to lock in, but I couldn't, and I don't know. I moved on, but it was just a really annoying start to my day. The second period was a little bit better. I got to reel in a little bit more, talk a little bit more, and it was okay by that, but anyway. In our third period class, they were watching Finding Forrester, which, if you haven't seen, is also a really brilliant movie. I'd recommend. And every time this was just really funny. Every time after we finished the first 50 minutes of the movie, we had a group discussion, and every time they answered a question, I gave them a starburst. And you would not believe how many hands went up after they saw that I was doing that. I was like, you never talk in class, but starburst? Instant hand raise? I don't know. I've always heard that little incentives like stickers and candy help, but I didn't realize it was that much, and it was really funny to see that between the students that don't talk and the students that do talk a lot. That was pretty great. It was pretty easy and doable, and I'd definitely do that again in the future. Wednesday, March 25th. Much better day overall. I did a lesson on the hijab, since the Wajida centers around, a coming of age girl and her navigating female issues and societal issues and expectations that they might have as a Muslim girl. And I think I did a really good job. Well, I truly do believe I did a good job, because the students asked a lot of questions, we got a lot of clarifications. They understand that the hijab is not an oppressive identity, but more of an empowerment. I guess also depending on where you are in the world. And it's a choice. No one's forcing women to wear it. At least in the US versus Saudi Arabia, where women are forced to wear it. Anyway, I digress. I think I explained it very well and in a way that, made them appreciate and learn about different culture and a different religion that they might have had preconceived notions about before. My paraprofessional in the room said that she learned a lot too, and I was like, thank you, I really appreciate that. I was really nervous to teach that because I'm not Muslim. Who am I to say when Muslim women why they wear a hijab? But I try to really read a lot of articles, get a wide range of narratives and perspectives that helped me make my presentation. So overall, super good day, especially from Tuesday, and I was pretty satisfied with what I came up with for them. The principal and the other APs were knocking on everyone's door to offer us the teachers coffee and snacks, because it was the week before spring break, and I thought that was really sweet. Because first he knocked and our teacher went out, and all the students were like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, but let's keep our discussion going. And then he came back with the coffee and the snack, and I was like, what? He was like, go out there, get a coffee. And I was like, oh, cool. So I got a coffee, and he was just really sweet. And the principal is planning on sitting in on my lessons after spring break, so hopefully that goes really well. And it will. It's, gonna get that leg in to hopefully get a job there. Thursday was mid. I kind of had a similar experience about Tuesday of I didn't know what to talk about with my slides. I did a lot better than Tuesday than Thursday, but it still just didn't feel natural. It didn't come out. It felt awkward. My teacher had to step in a lot, but by the second period, I was much better. And I don't know why. I feel like sometimes when we talk about abstract things, what is art? And I don't know, art as a political use, or art as a medium of just expression and things like that. It was just really hard for me because I want to sound good. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but it's so abstract and I don't even know the answer sometimes. So I don't know. I just feel like it was hard, but I got through it. Not gonna beat myself up for it. I'll try not to. Then came up with a bunch of songs, movies, books, artists, musicians that is considered art, that might be asking society a greater question or trying to change your perspective or attitude about something in society. So someone said the Lorax, which is exactly perfect. Kendrick Lamar. Someone said Drake, which I thought was funny. I was like, I don't like Drake. And they're like, what? I was like, he's kind of not a great person. He's like, but you have to separate the art from the artist. And I was like, oh, that's another conversation. But you know what? You can put that down. Other things like Handmaid's Tale, 1984, the classic literature. And they got really creative, and that was just fun. Way to end the movie. They really enjoyed the movie as well. So one thing I would say, if you take anything out of this video, is watch Wajida. A lot of students throughout the week came in during our 5th period, which is our study hall period, and I thought that was really satisfying because they need help, and they're like, she's cool and our teacher's cool, and I don't know, I feel like it's cool when they come in for extra help and they feel like they can trust us and they know that we can provide support. Because I actually had a student, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, he was like, I need you to read my argumentative essay for history because I don't know what to write and I need your help. And I was like, absolutely, I'd love to do that. And I thought that was really sweet because, I'm not in his history class, but he needs help with his writing, and that's what I'm here to do. And I don't know, it seems small, but it's pretty big for me. And then finally, Friday, the day before spring break, it was a pretty chill day. We had students break into like 3 groups of like nonfiction literature, fiction, sci-fi, fantasy literature, and then realistic fiction literature based on the independent book that they read like a month ago at this point, because after break they're going to start their new independent book. And so they just wrote about like why they like the genre, why they really love their books, what themes came up consistently in each group. Even though they all read separate books, they could come up with themes like sci-fi, otherworldliness, and it talks about society and dystopian novels and all that stuff. And then realistic fiction, like things you can relate to, different perspectives, realistic emotions. And then nonfiction, they had a really cool presentation. It was like on like those large sticky note papers, so they were creative, they had fun, took most of the period. It wasn't graded. It was something to think about, something to end the marking period with, looking forward to like what they might want to read next semester, so they could start thinking about that, throughout break, and they'll come back with a fresh perspective of books they liked, books they might want to read, and such. Overall, I would say it was an 8 out of 10 week. Given those 2 lessons on Tuesday and Thursday, it was kind of mid, but overall, still pretty positive. Spring break has been very well. I've been really just grading and doing a lot of work and catching up, which is fun. But I've also been hanging out with my friends and going outside and exercising again. So overall, like, it's been nice, and I have to be in that perspective that this is a break and I'm allowed to relax and not have to do everything that I need to do. So excited to start on Monday again. We're gonna start poetry. Yay! I don't like poetry. However, maybe the way that I teach it will be helpful, because I'll teach it the way that makes sense to me and try to embrace it. And then we'll be on the same page, because I know that a lot of students don't like poetry, so maybe we can work through it together. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week on time for week 11.